live. I'm gonna get a notification here in a second when it connects, and it did. And so we're now live. Welcome everyone to episode 8 of season 4 of the Level Up Your Wealth podcast, where we talk about the gaming industry from a business perspective. One of your hosts, Marcus Howard, joined by Mario and Titus. Mario, please introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all? Hope all is well. Another beautiful day in Jacksonville, Florida. No rain, so it's hot though, but happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Awesome. And then we're joined as well, by Titus. Titus, please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, it's Titus from the UEL, founder and CEO.
Awesome. You didn't have any rain in Jacksonville, Mario, but I think I have either a hurricane or a tornado or something. I was outside earlier and the clouds just had like layers to them. I'm like, oh. So if I disappear, Mario, you run the show. But before we jump into it, it's tradition. We're gonna play a round of rock, paper, scissors. So let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. Thank you for your support, and let us know who you got for this match. You think Titus is gonna win or Mario's got it?
All right, let's go. All right. So I gotta tell you.
So
I gotta tell you, Titus. Last week I was down 9-3. Hold on, let me shut my mouth. Hold on. I was down 9-3. Hold on. Time out. What we doing here?
You might want to tell that story after the match is over.
Hold on, man. Time out, man. Time out. You looking at my screen, man?
Finish the story. Finish the story.
Nah. Hold. Actually, how about you go first? So that is going to you there, because this ain't right, man. This ain't right.
All right. Finish the story.
Nah. Okay. All right. What's going on here? I was down 9-3, but I came back and won.
So what he's saying is he's setting you up right now. He's letting you get, a sense of the confidence, right? And that's part of his long-term game plan.
Bro, what are we doing here?
I'm so dead. Why?
All right, here we go. Here we go. All right. Bruh.
Remember last week, he was down 9-3.
Yeah,
so,
I'm
the game's not over yet.
Like, the story isn't finished.
It's not finished. It is not finished. The story untold.
It's close.
This is ridiculous. Well, what are we doing here?
We might need to tell a new story.
Oh man.
Man, this is ridiculous.
No pressure.
It's one at a time, man. One at a time.
Yeah, you can do it.
One at a time. Bruh. Man, I'm done, man.
You did good.
I can't believe this.
You should be proud. You did good. You beat me.
No, I didn't.
You didn't get swept.
I'm an end gamer, man. What do you expect? I don't lose nothing.
I don't like this, man. I don't like this at all, bro. I don't like this. Don't like.
You was down 9-3, and then what?
Yeah. And I came back, and I won.
Okay. That was the whole story. Dang. Well, it's a good story.
So Mario, if it's any consolation, he's got a new tournament series. Registrations open for season 9, and you win it all back. Double or nothing.
Yeah, win it all back, bro. You got this.
I can't believe that, man. You know what, though? It's the first time for everything. It's the first time for everything. So
yeah, for sure.
First time I lose like that.
So UEL, right? Ultimate Endgamers League. talk to us about the genesis of that. You've been building this business almost 5 years. Take us back. Take us back.
Sure.
Origin story.
So origin story. I was born in 1989. No, so yeah, I've been gaming since I was 4 years old. Started with Mortal Kombat. Still love Mortal Kombat. My dad introduced it to me. I always loved I love the fact that I could live in this virtual environment and choose my own destiny, if you will. Like, nobody, it didn't matter how big they were, how smart they were, I could still find a way to beat them. And so it became like a passion of mine growing up. And so I got did real estate for a while, 8 years actually, and did real estate development where I would develop communities, starting with, I did everything from a 10 home community to a 2,000 home community. And so learned really quickly how to position a community, how to build a community. And so when there was one day I was playing video games, and my wife, she kind of looked at me and was like, "You should turn this into a business." And I had never thought about the concept of video games being a business until she said that. It was like something clicked in my head, and I immediately started thinking, how could it be a business if it could, and so started to develop. We wanted to create this arcade environment where you could go in and just play video games. But my real estate background kind of helped me think it through and realize, like, I have to position myself correctly or nobody's going to come play, because my competition is the basement, right? Or my competition is the man cave. And so I knew, like, I'm not going to beat that competition without something really, really drawing people in. And so as we started to develop the business plan, I'm really big on research, and so I started researching university. I had the University of Mary Washington Business School actually do a research paper. Like, they had all their students go together, kind of combine and create a paper that kind of showed me everything there is to know about gaming and esports and the industry as a whole. And so as I was creating or coming up with the concept of my arcade, they gave me this. They went through this research paper with me, and the one thing that really stuck out for me was that the average gamer plays 24 games a year. And so at first it sounded like a lot, but the more I kind of thought about how many games I was playing, I'm playing easily 2 games a month. That's all that is. And so I thought, oh, well, okay, I'm playing probably more games than the average gamer. And so I was like, what if we create a competition around that average gamer? Is there anything like that? And so started researching to see how I could create that competition that allowed for the average gamer to have a place to go, and again, something to compete with the basement, right, or the man cave. And so developed. It was me and my wife in my kitchen overnight. Spent a good 24 hours straight just developing the concept of the league. I had it up here. Um, but I had to get it on paper, and without, I'm not good at that. I'm not, like, very detailed, as most people that know me will tell you. But I had that vision, and I knew what I wanted. I just needed to put it on paper, and so we did that, and that was how the league was built. We still play the exact same way we designed it. So it's kind of wild.
That's cool, man. So do you wish you had like ChatGPT back then to kind of make things easier? So it'd be like 2 hours
Oh
instead of
yeah.
24 hours?
Oh my goodness, man. I'd have had it done in 5 minutes. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean the thing is, like, there's so much to it. Like, when you're trying to create a sport, you have to think things through, like, how can someone manipulate this? How can somebody kind of cheat this system? And again, my real estate background really helped me with that, because we had to create programs and positions and marketing that nobody could really get around. And so we always had to think about, like, if this, then this, and how does that work? And so I was big on creating a fair kind of level playing field for everybody. And so when you watch a match, you can see it's completely fair, leveled, and everybody has the exact amount of opportunity to win or to succeed in this league. And so it's all about how much work you want to put into it. So I'm excited that it worked out, and that we've probably made little tweaks here and there, but it's pretty much the same as what we created.
It's
That's
interesting you
cool.
said that. You looked at like Nerd Street Games for gamers, and I forget the other one that just closed down nationwide. Kind of just setting up general LAN centers. I've seen 3 or 4 of those businesses tank for the exact reason that you just described. Like they didn't understand what you said. That seems like obvious common sense. That you're
Yeah.
competing with someone who has like basically their own gaming setup at home. Like why should they have to leave their house or even go online to do something and pay for the opportunity to do something they can otherwise do for free from the comfort of their own home. So, I mean, obviously you understand that, but that's great insight. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. No, it's something that we always used to say in real estate. We would say your biggest competition is the home they already live in. Like you're selling a home, but your competition is the house they already have, right? And so when I got into esports, it was the same thing. Like, I always knew like your biggest competition is what they already have. You have to beat that, and that's a really tough thing to beat. So you have to have a really big draw to get people to do what you're asking.
So how do you kind of infuse a community feel? Because you think about gaming, it's like it's you and the screen, or maybe you and another person in the screen. So like, how are you able to engage from a have a community feel within your league?
So there's a couple different ways. So first, when you're playing, most of the competition happens up here, not so much in the game, because you're having to not only are you mastering outside of the game, but then once you're in the game, you have to be able to recognize and quickly adapt to different changes in the environment. And so most times when people are playing each other, they're in each other's head, and they're trying to get because they have so many things to master, and because it is so new and it's so exciting. It kind of feels like what I would imagine like basketball was in the early days, or how UFC felt. Even though you're fighting each other, you have a level of respect for what you've accomplished, right? And so in order to reach this peak or this level, you have to work so hard, and you have to do so much that it just makes sense that once they're in that same room and they're competing, there is a level of respect for each other that you have people really going at each other's necks, but
Yeah,
it's like this ultimate respect that people have. And so the community kind of has created itself. It's interesting, but um we have such a really close group of people that they all hang out inside and outside of the league, inside and outside of competition. And well, you have your rivals, but yeah, it's you know I'd say I'd love to take credit for it, but I think that there's a lot of people in play that create that level of community leadership on down.
do you have I mean, what games you guys playing?
So it's 33 different games. They change every 6 months. Um, and in
Ah,
a single competition, you'll play through almost all of them. So it's fighting, sports, shooting, racing, and strategy games. But it's everything from Apex Legends, Madden, to Tekken, to F1, to League of Legends, right? So it's literally every type of game that you can think of, put into a competition to say, who's the best at gaming, period. I say we say we're the UFC of esports.
that's cool. And so why every 6 months changes to make sure that it's something's fresh, or nobody's cheating the system like you did with our rock paper scissors? Like why that?
Well, so one, I'm a beast at rock paper scissors. Anybody will tell you that. But two, yeah, so the average lifespan of a game is about 6 months before people get bored of it. It used to be a year, but that's quickly dropped. And so we try and keep it fresh as best as possible. But at the same time, like we want people to have enough time to really master it, so that by the end of the season, we're seeing a much higher level of mastery than we did in the beginning.
That's cool. How long does it take a person to master a game?
A week.
A week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but like now, once you get to a level of like, it's really a adaptation. Like once you get to a level where someone can adapt to any situation, and if you think about it, every game is just showcasing digital skills. Like it's showcasing skills within a digital environment, right? And so there are only but so many skills that you can showcase. So once you know the rules to the game, you can pretty much play anything if you've learned to adapt. That one skill can kind of change everything for you. And so our players have had to adapt to so many situations and so many environments that, like I said, a week, some 2 days. I mean, you can some 2 minutes. It just once they understand the rules, they can go.
Like rock
Yeah,
paper
so
scissors.
it's rock paper scissors. Y'all didn't even
Right.
explain the rules. You just said click in this thing.
That's I heard. I think it was like Aaron Gold things like like between like skill, talent, like talent something that you're born with, but like skill, you can like not be talented at all. But if you have the skill, you kind of morph into something that you can't do with talent. So they say a lot of times like the best players, like they didn't have them. Like they had talent, but they wasn't the most talented, but they was the most skillful because they adapted over time. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it comes down how bad do you want it? How hard are you willing to work? Um, you can learn most of the skills in video games. Again, it's like I said when I was a kid, right? I'm 4 years old and I'm beating my dad in Mortal Kombat. Once I can understand certain things, it doesn't matter how smart, how old, none of that matters. It comes down to how hard am I willing to work versus the next person. And so some people, like I said, it takes 2 weeks. Some people it takes 2 years, but you work hard at it and then you learn to adapt and you can become the master of gaming as well. But there's some people like you said that come in and they're just naturally talented in certain skill sets, and that's great and all, but they normally have a peak that they stay at and they can stay there forever. Meanwhile, you have other people that start out at the bottom and then they put in a lot more effort, a lot more work, and show a lot more adaptation, and from there, the sky's the limit. So it really just depends. Michael Jordan didn't make the team his first time trying out. So
I don't, I don't know if
I
you
would be.
heard that Tom Brady got inducted to the Hall of Fame, I guess maybe yesterday, 2 days ago, and he had a
Mhm.
speech and like there's a 2 or 3 minute clip. If you're just now hearing about this, go check it out. And he basically says that like success is a function of your determination and persistence is the long and short of it.
Mm. Yeah, that's true. That's true, right? So LinkedIn users, so motor skills and cognitive abilities of the youth show how we are evolving in gaming, sports, business, etc. Where do you see esports in 5 years and 10 years?
I see esports demonstrating or speaking to more of the skill in gaming than it is the game itself. I think the only way esports survives is if it can demonstrate or be able to speak to what it is to everyone in the room, whether they play video games or not. That's kind of the thing about like basketball and football. No matter whether you understand it or not, you can watch and see. Oh my God, that person got hit hard, right? Oh my God, that was an awesome dunk. They just jumped really high, or they're really fast. These are things that are easy to understand, and because the skills you don't need to understand. You don't need to understand basketball to understand how high that person just jumped or how hard that person got hit, right? It's the same thing in gaming. You can understand how good someone's hand-eye coordination is if you speak to that instead of calling it something else. You can understand the ability to outsmart someone if you don't call it ganking. If you instead of trying to hyper kind of it's like this exclusive mentality to say if you don't understand the game, then you're out of here, right? Like, but that only gets you but so far. You can't really market that and you can't grow that. And so really the only way to grow is to become more inclusive as a community, as a gaming community, and really start to showcase the skills that everyone understands instead of trying to always um, um, like you always want to pander kind of to this small community of people that need things to be a certain way in order for you to do it, and that pandering is keeping us kind of stagnant because we have to do things this way in order for anybody to pay attention or to watch or whatever. And when in reality there's a lot of people that don't need that. It's just everybody thinks they have to pander because they're trying to get more views on Twitch, right? Like, so
I think Overwatch was doing that. I think at one point, kind of ruining the game for the larger population of people who were playing the game because they were trying to optimize the game for the competitive players.
yeah.
Uh, okay. Okay. So in Twitch the world, do you think as big business comes in the game, at least like yourself, do you think that's going to hurt or you think it's going to help? I would think monetarily wise it's going to help, but like do you think like the fabric of gaming is, you think that's going to hurt esports over time?
What we do?
Well, I'm talking about like Twitch because you know they have like Twitch tournaments now and people stream more. It's more about like the not maybe like the community, but more about like the making money, right? So like, how can I
Yeah.
go viral playing the game, right? They're doing it from a business standpoint because they're trying to make money. So do you think like that's
Right.
going to hurt the fabric of esports and gaming in general?
I think there's value to all of it. I think that UFC existed alongside boxing, and boxing still does well, right? So that hyper fixated single game thing still has, I think, a lot of like viability to it. I think eventually they can figure out how to make it work and how to make it profitable. Boxing for still to this day, they have trillions of dollars that comes in and all of it goes out. They still can't figure it out, right? UFC figured it out. So they figured out how to make that work, but that the boxing still can't. They still have all this money that goes out, all this money that gets paid to players, and somehow nobody makes money otherwise.
Yeah,
And so I think there's a space for both of it, though. I think everything has its reasoning. I think there are a lot of people in the world. I think it's a good 1% of people, but still there's people in the gaming environment that really only want to see or only want to play one game. They want to master one game and they want to play that one game. And I think it's good to have a space for them. But I also think it's good to have a space for the 99% of people that play lots of games, that just they don't have one game that they play. They don't want to spend time burning out on a single game in order to master it to hopefully make it to the top 1% or fraction of a percent of players. And so I think there's space for both. I don't think one, I think the only thing that hurt the pro scene, the biggest thing that hurt the pro scene is that the people creating the communities didn't quite realize that they were building the community on someone else's land, right? And it's back to the real estate stuff. Like, if they knew that, if they recognized that, they would have played it a lot safer and been a lot smarter about how they structured it. Because you turn, Call of Duty into this behemoth without asking for anything beforehand, and now
mm,
you're stuck. Now they're
yeah,
they're bigger than you. They figured it out. You have not. They kick you out, and now they take over whatever it is you're doing because it's
yeah,
not your land. And so I think
yeah.
that though it's something that is scary to kind of redo the same thing that didn't work, I do think there is a place for it. You have to figure it out, and maybe it takes another 20, 30 years. But we figured ours out in 5, and we're going to keep expanding, and we're going to give a scene for the other 99% of people that are looking for something like what we have.
So like for example, so my daughter, so when she watches, she's not a gamer. She plays, but not like plays, but she watches YouTube. And when she watches YouTube, she watches gamers play, but they're not really trying to like beat the game and just doing like crazy stuff, like let me fall off a cliff, So like it makes like so like the professional gamers that are trying to do this for a living or like really serious. I'm like, man, like, do they feel like appalled that these like YouTubers are just like making a mockery out of something that they're like live and breathe? That's kind of was my question.
No, no, it's all sport, right? Like if I'm playing Parks and Rec, it's no different than me playing, NBA. I'm not. NBA isn't going to shun Parks and Rec. You got to start somewhere, right? Like at the end of the day, the game being showcased, the game being played, it's all good for the sport, right? So we
Mm,
don't
okay.
we don't want to like again, we don't want to start excluding people, and that is the mentality, right? Like that is kind of the mentality outside of every other sport. If you see somebody out there playing basketball in the street, you aren't going to be like, "Yo, quit playing basketball. Like you're ruining the sport," right? Like no, of course not. They're playing the sport and that's okay too, right? You do it for fun. Whether you do it for fun or you do it competitively, it all enhances the sport. And that's really all we want. We want to expand and enhance that sport. We don't want to become this exclusive uh, um, community of people that doesn't let anybody else in unless they're trying to go pro and they do XYZ.
Can you talk about how the team structure that you have? Because I know that like on your website you have multiple teams who are, I guess, in this current season. But like if you go to your YouTube or your Twitch rather, you've got a QR code for people to basically register for potentially being in season 9. So it seems like you've got a balance between, I guess, like prefix teams, if you will,
Yeah.
versus
Yes.
like open call. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So we have it's 12 teams that are owned by investors or part of an expansion. So when we expand, we first take over a team. So it's 12 teams. When we're ready to expand, we go into a new state. We have a team that's set up for that area. We hire a general manager for that area and recruiters and trainers and coaches and really get the thing going on its own. And then we look to sell that team. And so that's where the 12 teams come from. They're franchises in the league. And so you buy in as a franchise. We do all of the recruiting and stuff like that. From there, the players would then register on our website for the draft. And then we host combines and competitions and then a draft eventually where they can get drafted as a pro gamer in our league. And so it's set up so that we also have an online based one, a skills challenge, which is pretty much what the combine is. It's where you're going to test we're not testing you in games. We don't really care about the game. We're testing you in hand eye coordination, spatial awareness, precision, pattern recognition, memorization. These are all things that matter for gaming, right? Understanding micro, macro economy. These are all things that matter, right? And so that's where we're going to test you to see what games you play. So we'll put you in the bucket based on what your skills are rather than what games do you like, which is what how most people are going to look at it, or what games do you play. Like, we don't really care about that. What are your skills? Because that's going to tell us where you fit now, and then we'll help you grow based on the skills you have and what we know will be easy to learn later. And so essentially that system then functions into the draft. And then the drafted players get contracted onto the pro teams and have competition. They do. There's 60 different matches that happen throughout each season. So each team has about 10 games.
So we talk about business now. That's what I'm talking about. So give me the day from a business side, because I'm on business, right? So the day in the life of a business owner, what does that look like?
So as a franchise owner,
Yeah,
there's two
yeah.
different types, right? Type A, day in the life is they do whatever the heck they do normally, and that's it. They don't have to do anything because we can literally provide everything to them. Type B is super involved. So they are recruiting general managers to make their business profitable. So think as an esports team, you normally have a whole lot of overhead the second you sign up as an esports team, right? That's something we've eliminated completely. Once you
What is
buy
the
in,
overhead? So let's talk
normally
about
your
that. So
overhead is players alone, like player costs,
okay,
marketing costs, getting people
Mhm.
involved, like all of those things that cost money, right? So we eliminate that completely. Now the only thing you're responsible for in our league is jerseys. You got to buy your own jerseys. The first set we supply to you, but after that you got to buy your own. And so and we supply those. So we have a supplier that gets them to you at about, well, I won't say the cost, but for a team owner it's a great cost. We'll say. And so so you have that. But a day in the life for type B is you're gonna hire a general manager that's gonna promote your business and start to build on your business, whether it be through social media or through whatever. But there's again, most of the general managers right now are working for the love of, so they're not getting paid to do it. They just enjoy it. They want to be a part of an esports team, whether it be a resume builder or whatever it is. That is what they're doing it for, and so they'll build up that team, build up the social media, the marketing, and all of those things, right? Then number two, you bring in somebody for recruiting and coaching. So you want to start looking through that draft and figuring out who in the draft class is top tier talent, who's got a social media presence, who's got the skills, who's got all of the things that you're looking for in order to grow your business or grow your team. Again, you don't have that overhead of like, I gotta pay this player $5,000 a month because we take care of that. So your whole thing is just, how do I build this business to start making money? And so whether it's building a winning team and you can make money that way, or I can make money elsewhere. So that's pretty much day in the life. There's not a whole lot to it, but there can be if you want to be super involved.
That's cool. And like from a franchise owner, monetization. So do they critical speaking get paid more by just teams winning, or is it through like marketing and sponsorships? What do you think they get the big bang for the buck?
Um, a winning team is always kind of become a popular team. So a winning team normally will get you more marketing and get you more on your bang for the buck on social media and sponsors and the like. But I would say if you focused on all of the other things, you're still going to make more money than building a winning team. And building a winning
Really?
team is tough. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
But building a winning team is tough. Like that
Okay.
is it's hard. It's hard. You got to keep all of these people motivated throughout the entire season, win or lose. You got to recruit right. You got to build a culture. You have to really understand people and community. And so that's
Mm.
been a really tough thing for people to do. And so out of the 12 teams, only three of them have won a championship. So it's tough to build that winning culture. It's been done, but it is tough.
Yeah, I had spoken to somebody on LinkedIn, I think last week, maybe earlier this week. It's a business that was looking to get into esports, and the person said to me, "Oh, we want to start our own team." I said, "Well, I applaud you for getting into esports. I'm going to caution you against starting a team because it's one of the most difficult pieces of esports, and then basically the like least profitable, like historically has been the least profitable."
Yep.
To Titus's point, like you see players making in some cases, $1 million plus a year, depending on the game and the team, and at the same time the teams are going bankrupt.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of it's a popularity contest anyway. So they're really just doing like they're just bringing in players to hopefully get eyeballs, and then those eyeballs hopefully become monetary that you can use to get sponsors, and those sponsors hopefully bring in more, and so it's just this hopeful game of like of tag that everybody's playing. When in reality, like you really have to start at just building a community, right? Like nobody's going to hand you a community. You have to build it from the bottom up, and you have to find something that people want, whether they know it or not, and then you have to grow that thing.
Grassroots, as Taylor said.
Grassroots. We got another question. So, what does the future of gaming look like from Web3 standpoint?
I don't know. I'm trying to understand the inherent value in Web3, and I haven't had a person be able to explain this to me yet. I know it's small, and it's something probably worthwhile, but I feel Web3 is very similar to games that already have like a very robust in-game currency. But I'm sure there's a place for it. I just don't personally fully understand where Web3 stands in the whole, and nobody's been able to explain it to me. I've asked many times. I've gone to a couple conferences and asked, but I'm not seeing it right now. But that's not to say that it won't take over the world one day. It's just you know um, not seeing it.
Yeah, my what was explained to me, right or wrong or indifferent, is that like we have like the internet now, we're like on the internet, but we're seeing the internet. Like Web3, you're more like inside of it, so you're like inside of the game. So um, yeah, I don't know. What was that? What
You're
was that
inside of
movie?
the game anyways, though.
A
That's where I
player,
get
Ready Player One.
yeah
Ready
yeah
Player
yeah.
One. Yeah, yeah. It's
That's where I
kind of it's
get
kind of like
confused though,
that.
because you're inside of the game anyways. Anybody that's playing the game is inside of the game, so it's like I don't get it. Like, it's I feel like it's a non-gamer term, and that's kind of what it feels like.
Mm.
Like somebody that's not into gaming is explaining it. Um, but who knows? I mean, again, I could be wrong. I don't know everything, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
one of our former guests, and now I'm blanking on his name, Robert, I think, and that name's probably wrong. But he was saying that basically Web3 community kind of co-opted the gaming industry, right?
Mm.
In the search of validity and mass market adoption has adopted the gaming industry with some of the terms you're saying, right? Because as you mentioned, like you've been playing video games your entire life, you've always had some degree of digital presence or avatars or various degrees of ownership, right? You can go to like CS:GO right now and go own a skin and sell it on the gray market. But you also have like trophies. If you play console games, you have hundreds, if not thousands, of trophies you unlock that have absolutely no value, right?
Yeah, I mean that's that's how I've always felt. So whenever I hear that, I get lost in it. I don't fully understand it.
So augmented reality versus virtual reality. So is it easier you think to play a game virtual reality or augmented?
For sure, augmented. Once they can get augmented right, like that's gonna be. I think that's how a lot of people will play the virtual games. I think the virtual reality, that one of the pitfalls is just that you're still going to be in a space outside of that space, but once they can put you in that space and in that space, now everything becomes a little bit more real and a little bit easier to, when the desk is there and you know that desk is there, you can play anywhere, right? So I think that is kind of that next step in gaming. If that's Web3, then hey, there you go. Yes, Web3, absolutely. But I don't know.
What's your favorite game?
My
Is it
favorite
Mortal
game,
Kombat?
yeah, Mortal Kombat. It's just that's for only for the reason of like my father and him introducing me, and he passed, and that's just been it's just been. But my favorite game, I think, is Fallout. The game I probably spent the most time in is
Mhm.
Fallout. Like I really love Fallout. Like I've just started at Fallout 3 and just love that game ever since.
So like how many, like what month or maybe like what number of team that joined you was like, you know what, like this is gonna work? Because of course when you first start something, you think about it, plan for it, but we don't know what's gonna happen. We kind of go through the motions, but like something happened was like, you know what? Haha. What was that moment for you?
What was the moment when I knew it would work?
Yeah.
um.
Last week.
So yeah, no. So I had so so there's a couple moments, but I think the first moment that I knew I would make it work was when my one of the investors, before we had opened anything up, backed out. That was like when I knew I would make it work, because I was like, all right, this is enough adversity to where I'm going to push through this. First season, because when I first released this, you think of it like a piece of art. It was a piece of art that nobody had ever seen before, and so it was so nerve-wracking for me to just release that I was even doing this, like that I was even going to try it, was so nerve-wracking. And I remember thinking, like, I remember announcing it and like nobody showing up, and feeling like, you know this is, this is, all the things that everybody told me are true, right? And I remember just like pushing and pushing. And season one, we had 14 people show up. That was the moment that I knew this was going to work. 14 people to me was 100,000 people to most people. Like, and it wasn't like I was naive to the fact. It was just, this was something that started here that nobody else had up here, right? Like it was just me. This gift was given to me, and somehow 14 other people, 14 other me's are now in the same room and doing this competition that's all still mostly peer. And so that moment for me was like, wow, okay, I have something I need to hold on to. And yeah, pushed ever since.
That's cool. That's dope.
I think Joshua was co-signing with you. I don't know if you know Joshua Nelson in Tennessee. He has a concept called battle racing. So it's real life Mario Kart, like real life speed racer, real vehicles, real track, but he has a gaming console embedded inside the steering wheel. And so
Wow.
you're playing a video game in the middle of actually racing.
That's nuts. That's actually nuts. So you're actually feeling it because it's happening.
Yeah,
That is
there's two dashboards in the steering wheel, and so you like glance down to see your power ups, you activate your power ups, and every time you take damage, it makes you go slower. So you have to mix like traditional racing strategy with like gaming strategy to understand when you want to use a speed boost, when you want to draft for whatever the extra points that you can get.
I gotta see this. I gotta come out and see that for sure. Like I'm not that far from Tennessee too. You said Tennessee?
Yeah, Tennessee, Memphis,
Yeah,
Tennessee.
Memphis,
He
yeah,
wants to know,
got it.
his goal is to see, if you put a pro gamer against a pro driver, who's going to win.
Awesome. Yeah, we gotta make that happen. That's sick. That's sick. Okay.
I'll connect you after the show for sure.
Awesome. Awesome.
Uh, I'm sure half of the people in the world, or at least here in the U.S., who play video games are women. Can you talk about like the gender diversity, or like how you try to make the experience of competitive gaming more equitable when we know that in the professional scene right now it isn't?
Yeah, I think the professional scene it isn't because it's so repetitive and women are not fans of repetitiveness or doing one thing over and over, or just one single pattern. Like males are psychologically males like a pattern over and over. You're putting your shoes on the same way, your hat, that your clothes, everything has to happen in routine, right? And that's pretty much how they've structured the pro scene. So males did it, right? But they've structured the pro scene as this routine. You have to follow this routine or you will not win, right? You have to do this game this specific way or you won't win. They call it the meta. That's like you have to play it this way. You have to go down this hallway. You have to look across this way. And when you don't do it, everybody's like, "What are you doing? You know better. You got to do it this way. You got to use this weapon. You got to
Yeah,
do that." Like and so that in my opinion, that would be why you're not getting females in that pro scene and they're having to create their own systems to get women to actually compete. But for us, our past 5 seasons, a female has been drafted top three every season, and female we have a lot of top female gamers that are in our league that really hold it down. I mean, that are dominant, and it's because their brain can do so many things at once that they
hmm
can be playing the game. And then they can be checking on what the next game is and understanding what that pattern needs to be. And they can be thinking about this and so I think to make it more equitable, I think we need to have things that speak to everyone, right? And I think that what we do does that. I think we speak to not only the gamer that want that same routine, but then we
Yeah,
also speak to the gamer that can do multiple things at once. And so I'm excited to say we have a good female base, and a lot of our top players are females, which no other pro scene can say, right? Like it's not easy to get females into the ecosystem of pro gaming because of how they've been ostracized in the past. But we've been able to do that, and we've been able to foster um, uh, a high level of intensity and a high level of skill for the females as well.
yeah. So speaking of the female, so Taylor has a question. So NFT's role in esports, obsolete or is it emerging?
That's a good question. I think that because games are already so digital, that NFTs are emerging in an esports environment. I do think that people would rather have a digital card than a physical one when it comes to gamers. So if I could have a digital jersey in for my avatar in this game, a lot of gamers would rather that than the physical jersey for that game. So I do think
Mm,
that um, there is a lot of space for that. I think Roblox kind of shows that in the amount of creation that you can have with your characters, and how much you see when you're, I have kids and they're playing Roblox and you never see the same outfit ever, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
that speaks to, I think, the role of that digital um, creative mindset that the future holds. So I think it's definitely emerging.
We saw NFTs in esports with the Creator League. I don't know if you followed that, Titus, and it showed a lot of promise. Unfortunately, it was miscommunicated, and that repeatedly throughout the entire fiasco. Like it was announced on like a Friday, and I think that might have been a Labor Day weekend last year or something. So it was like a 3-day weekend, and they intentionally like tried to obfuscate or kind of hide the fact that they were using Web3 blockchain NFT technology in the
Mm,
solution, in the offering, when they could have just said, hey, we're wanting to create better experiences for gamers across the board, more opportunities, more data security, right? More integrity in the ecosystem, so there's less opportunity for cheating. And so because of those reasons, we're implementing trust-based technology, and it's called blockchain. Like that would have been 2 or 3 paragraphs and everything would have been done. But because they intentionally tried to hide it in all the marketing and all the legal documents on the website, people felt like they were about to get rug pulled. So I don't know if you saw, it was Mr. Beast was like a headliner for it, or not that he didn't compete, but like his Mr. Beast, what is it, Feastables, the chocolate was like part of the deal. Had a bunch of influencers who didn't know blockchain was involved. Some of them who were like vocally or not vocally, um, uh, largely opposed, like I guess vocally opposed to blockchain, were signed up for a project that was blockchain because they weren't told that it was blockchain. So then, like when they found out, like, yeah, I'm not doing this, and then the entire thing crashed over 72 hours.
Yeah.
But that, like, aside, if they had gone like the legitimate, right down the middle way to get it done, it would have been one of the best things that we needed for esports. So definitely not obsolete, but there's a degree of education that needs to happen in the space, especially because of all the scams. We remember the Save the Kids token with FaZe Clan, so many other opportunities like that were just fumbled or may intentionally have been scams from the get-go. We have to earn the player trust in order to get the player support.
That's always the fun thing in like emerging things. You really think about like everything from tulips all the way around. That emerging thing, you always get the bad actors that kind of cause the issues, and then from there it takes a really long time to build that trust back up. It happened with the internet, right? Like the internet, you wouldn't think would have ever been an issue, but there was a big issue with the internet and whether or not it would be a viable thing. But that's how it is, it's just a part of it. You kind of expect it, and then when it happens, now it's NFT is kind of a bad word in a way, but I'm sure there's a lot of value to it. I don't fully understand it. It's not something that I've really dove into, but I do see its value in the gaming world for sure, and so that's why I think it's emerging.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not saying that they're good, but I think the bad actors are actually good because when something like that happens, usually from like a security and safety standpoint, like you make sure that things are done correctly, things are done like they're supposed to. So it sucks when it happens, but you usually have good out of that, especially if something's going to continue to grow.
You
We
need
have
it.
another
You
question.
need it. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
it. We had it in esports, right? Like a lot of bad actors, a lot of people spent a lot of money, many billions of dollars lost, and now it's kind of like reset, and you had the like all the stuff that went wrong, but now people see a lot more of the holes, and had that continued, it could have got the bubble could have got much bigger and bigger and bigger and hurt a lot more people, right? So it is, like you said, it is a good thing. It sucks people have to lose money, but it is a good thing that it happens, so the bubble can burst. It can get a little more clarity, and people can move forward.
Yeah. All right. So, in terms of the macro environment, that's a question from a LinkedIn user. In terms of the macro environment, we have seen movement to global gaming industry from Brazil to Ghana and India to South Korea. We have also seen financial shifts away from USD in the financial market. It's a crypto question. Any thoughts on how this affects esports? Your thoughts
And
on
also crypto.
your thoughts on crypto? Ah, there we go.
You saw it.
So uh yeah, I think it is definitely a crypto question. So I'd say how it impacts the gaming market. I don't think that it has a big impact on the gaming market whatsoever. I think from a developer standpoint, um, they need to be able to shift if they're trying to sell copies in different areas or whatever. They have to be thinking about that, and they have to be smart about how they position their game. But otherwise, I don't think it'll have a huge impact on the gaming market. I think where right now, like when you're trying to gain an audience, normally it's like certain audiences they say are worth more because they spend more money and this and that. I think that will have an impact on that as well. But other than that, I don't see it having a huge impact. How will it impact crypto? I mean, I think obviously people will need to move money elsewhere if they don't trust or do trust their country's currency that they're determining, and I think a lot of the countries are gonna probably start to move more into a digital environment as well. So yeah, I think it'll probably help crypto. I don't know. I'm not a big, like, you got to talk to my COO. He's the crypto guy, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but he does for sure.
I think it would be cool if we had a standard, and I guess crypto is probably the best way to get, not the best way to get there, but like the best example of this, but like a standard currency, if you will, virtual currency for gaming as a whole. You mentioned like different communities around the world. Game A may cost two different prices depending on where you are because of just the currency exchange rate, right? So imagine if you could earn a standardized currency for beating a game or winning a tournament or you know like completing an achievement, and then you then in that standard currency sell games for that standard currency price. It gives everyone the exact same earning and spending potential across all of gaming. Now, I don't know if you can do that in the U.S. dollar because we have Brazil. What is it? BRICS is the new currency that's supposed to be creating some issues there. The dollar is not the same around the world. It's not worth the same. So what we need is a standard currency for gaming. You might call that Bitcoin. It might be something else. But I think having a standard currency across all of gaming would be, of benefit. It creates again more opportunity around the world for people, especially who are in developing countries.
I heard about that. I was like, yeah, I mean, but probably would be Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is used. I mean, it's the granddaddy in crypto. So from a gaming standpoint, like when you think about gaming, it's about they're in mom's basement game, but like you have like a real profitable business. So talk to me about like business structure, why it's important to structure business. Let's kind of talk about how the business is structured. You talk about the COO.
Yeah, so we have a pretty solid structure on how we do everything. So we have the essentially you have the 33 games that change out every season. And so what that does is as we build out our community, we then go to different developers, small, large, and different. And we say, look, we're getting ready for our next season. We have X amount of gamers that play in our community. In order for them to win this competition, they have to buy, master, play, become a part of your community. And because they're under contract, they have to stream, they have to promote, they have to share, they have to like your game. And so, if you want to be one of those 33 games, then this is the cost to enter this tournament. And we don't have like whereas normally in an esports environment you want to find the most popular game. We actually don't really care about that. Our goal is to find good games. Like we want to find really good games that are going to be really enjoyable for the next 6 months, and then work with those games on finding a middle ground on pricing. So not only do we so like for a larger or a higher developer, we may charge $50 or $100,000. But if we are looking at some smaller developers, we can charge we can do revenue splits, equity ownership, those types of things in order to uh, balance the scales and make sure that we stay profitable as a business as we do the bigger tournaments. As this season we're doing a $1 million tournament, so 33 games, we're talking about $30,000 each developer, which really isn't that much, but
That's cool. So you have so you have like a marketer as well. So you have COO, marketer. So kind of run through the gaming from a structure standpoint.
uh, me, then we have 300 or Anthony. He's our COO, and he has like he's smartest person ever. And then you have uh, Marcus, who's our chief production officer. So he handles pretty much everything in stream.
Not me.
Chief, yeah,
Yeah.
chief innovative officer Ryan, who's pretty much like a master marketing or networking person. Oasis is our chief marketing officer. He actually built up Candy Crush, so that's where we snagged him from. Um, we have our so much more. I'm not gonna forget anybody, so let's keep going. We have Doc, who's our chief construction officer. He helps us build out like all the arenas and stuff like that. We have let's see, Jimmy, who is our director of sales that handles the sales team when talking to developers. Then of course we have the sales team. We have Kevin, who does our partnerships. We have Brandon, who does our helps me with strategy. We have God, I cannot forget anybody. This is bad. J Dev, who does our website. Lewis, who makes us look amazing. If you look at our website, if you look at our social media, if you look at, he is the reason why we look as good as we do. He is freaking amazing at everything, really, but graphic design and whatever else. We have. Oh, this would be really bad if I hold on. I cannot.
You gotta have an org chart, like on the
Yeah,
wall
no, we
behind
do.
you.
We do have
Yeah.
one. Now, I didn't expect this question. Now I gotta pull it up. We actually have a doctor on staff, Elise. So she does basically wellness for all the players. We have
No.
Pete, who's our chief technology officer. Um, AV, who's a director and for the stream and stuff, and also freaking amazing. Love that guy to death. Um, Hollywood.
AV handles audio visual.
I know that.
Yeah, actually, kind of, yeah. Yeah, we have a ton of commentary that help us out. Love all of them. We have referees, which we call game masters. We have coaches, general managers for all the teams. So we have an amazing team. Amazing team. We have our for we have UEL EDU, UEL education. So on that side, we have John, who is the president of UEL education, is a professor at Yale as well in psychology, and also brilliant, super smart. Yeah, so great, just a great team of individuals.
Yeah. Now, so the reason I ask because, and we think of just business, right? Like you're the person forefront, but it's like so many other people that's helping. So I always like to have someone kind of talk about their structure, their org chart, so people can see. It's great to be a business owner, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, but like it takes so much work, so much time, effort, and you don't do it alone. So that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I couldn't have done any of this without my team. Like if you look at the first 3 years of the league, or the first 3.5 years of the league. That's what I did on my own. Well, with Herb, pretty much me and Herb did that pretty much on our own, and you can see the difference. Trust me. Once just
Yeah,
the second everybody else steps in, it changes everything completely. So
yeah.
so yeah, you can see the difference.
And I think with business owners, that's like the thing, like as the business grows, like you want to hire, but like you're afraid, like, okay, if I hire a person, it's gonna be more expenses, I'm not gonna be profitable. So like was that like season three where you kind of got to the point like, you know what, I'm paying bills, but like I want to take it to the next level? Is that why you kind of started hiring people and scaling that way?
No, actually, my COO is the reason I started hiring people. So he one day was, it was just me running around like crazy, and he saw that and he started helping. We had never met before, but he just started helping out and started doing a bunch of stuff and started, and I'd see him around like really helping, kind of build it. And I didn't know he owned a security company that was doing the pipeline, so he was doing like 5 million, $10 million in revenue. So he had all this, structure in his head. He knew how to build a business. And he told me one day, he just kind of walked up to me and was like, you have a unicorn, right? And I was like, yeah, I know that. And he was like, you have a lot of people that want to help you, right? And I was like, no. And he was like, you should let them help you, right? And I was like, yeah. And so then I brought him on to help, and then he started building out the structure in the way it needed to be. And I'm just not a structure person. It's not me. I am very much like, yeah, I know what I'm doing next week. Next week, right? Like that.
Yeah,
That is, that is how I operate. I'm like vision. I'm focused. He is very much structural. Like I call him to tell me no. I know he's gonna tell me no, and then it's
mm,
my job to convince him otherwise, right? And so, so I have a lot of people on my team that are no men. I like to say, because every time I call them, they're saying no, and that I want that because it sharpens me. And I learned that really really early in the business, that everybody that said it wouldn't work, that gave me reasoning behind why it wouldn't work, they sharpened me. They helped me learn what I needed to know in order to grow the way I needed to grow, because I could have easily just got a bunch of yes men that just told me what I wanted to hear, and we'd probably still be where we started. But them, everybody deciding to become haters or whatever, sharpened me to make me stronger along the way.
That's dope. Dope.
We have a recommendation for a game for your next season from, I think that's, who's that? It says, can you consider adding Knockout City as a game?
We
LinkedIn.
had Knockout City season 3, I think it was. And absolutely, my gamers would love to have it back. So let's talk. Yeah, I mean,
Casey said that from LinkedIn.
okay. Yeah, if you know the developers, send them my way. If you are the developers, send yourself my way. And absolutely, it's something right now we're actually picking the game. So that's what we're doing now. I had a meeting literally right before I hopped on this with a developer out in China, and so that's pretty much what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks, is just meeting with the developer, them showcasing their game and telling me about it, and then us deciding on whether or not we want to work with them.
So out of the 33, how many games are from domestic developers and how many games are from international developers?
We don't keep score. If I had, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, but we don't keep score. It's really more just about how good the game is. Like we're not hyper focused on games made in the US or otherwise. We want to find a really cool game, and then we want to share that with our community, and get our community playing it and loving it. We've had some games that nobody plays. Nobody was playing before us, and we introduced them, and then it's like they gained a lot of popularity from it, and they grew from it, and we love that. Like we'd love to be able to shine a light on really cool games, like really cool design games.
Yeah, Mario, I don't know if you know this, but what was it? Among Us had been out for like 2 years and no one had played it. And then the pandemic hit and it got discovered by, I think it was a streamer in Brazil,
Yeah.
and became the household name that it is today. But like the team, it was doing so poorly, it was so undiscovered that the team that was making the game had actually started making another game. And they
Really?
recently just decommissioned that second game so they could focus on Among Us, because obviously like everybody's playing it. But yeah, for 2 years, nobody played the game.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking
So
lightning in
yeah,
the bottle. Man.
Yeah, discoverability is really bad in gaming right now. There is pretty much no discoverability. So we'd love to be able to create an environment for discoverability. Um, and I think streaming it worked for a while, but I think it is a little bit played out as far as the discoverability goes. I think you had those like outliers that made it from that, but now it's kind of everybody's kind of cautioned to it, and they know like, oh, this is a promotion, or oh, you're only playing this game because of XYZ. So I think so yeah, I think creating an environment like what we have makes it to where it's more organic. People are playing this game in competition, and they like it or don't like it, it doesn't matter, but they're definitely playing it and participating.
So why do you think that is, like discoverability? Because you think a good game is a good game. You think because there's so many games? Is,
Yeah,
is that is
yeah.
that why?
That's a part of it. Yeah, there were like almost 50,000 games developed last year.
Hmm.
So that, I mean, it's like just hopping on Netflix, and Netflix never putting you in front of anybody, right? Like how many movies are on Netflix right now that nobody knows about, and that's kind of the and that number just keeps going bigger and bigger and bigger, and every day it's bigger. So at one point in time, you had 5 developers, maybe 6 developers. I remember sitting and waiting for a new game to come out for months, hoping whatever that game was, I was buying it. Didn't matter. But now it's like you got 50 to 100 games coming out a day, right, on each platform. And so making your game really shine, even if it's good. I mean, it can be good and people can play it, but the problem is like if I log on and I play this game and there's nobody else online and it's just me playing this game, then I'm not playing that game again, right? And that can happen at any minute of the day. And so you got however many minutes, you got 24 hours in a day. If one person logs on per hour and then they log right back off, you got 24 people that day, but you can't really grow from that because every single one of them left because there was nobody else there. So that becomes like an issue. You need a community to kind of back it all at once. which is how Among Us was able to grow, because you could log on and the streamers playing it, and the only way they can play it is if all of their viewers play it, and now everybody's playing it, and then it kind of grows from there. It's a community-based game. But competitive-based games are a little different because you have to have that competition there. So,
Yeah, and then if you think
Man,
about live service games like Fortnite, right? Fortnite is free,
yep,
and they're always adding new content. What are they like season 10 now?
yep,
So they've designed it in a way where they never want you to go play a different game.
yep,
And it's always something new. So if you really like Fortnite, you have no reason to go to a different game. It's different than like, I don't know, Metal Gear Solid, right? Like you play the
yep.
game, eventually it ends. Unless you want to play it again for more, 100% completion, you probably move on to the next game.
so like we have an idea, like boop. So if it's any developer or any app designers, hit me up on LinkedIn. So I'm thinking it has to be a way, like like a scorecard, right? So if it's a way that you can find people to play the games, everybody has like their own avatar. I like this game. I like that game. I like these types of games. And people like play the different games and have a scorecard. And then whatever scorecard fits your avatar, you get recommended weekly what new games are out there that fit your avatar. Does something like that exist in the gaming world? Because I don't think so.
I think so. Yeah. There's
Oh,
like a
Titus, you killed me
yeah.
again, man. Don't steal my dreams.
Sorry, it doesn't mean you can't like create like a better version, but they
Right.
act like
You
there's
had MySpace and then you had Facebook.
yeah, there's yeah, exactly. There's like
No
Tinder
face.
for games and stuff like that. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I was trying to build something very similar. My brother and I built a discovery platform. We started 10 years ago, and we had to shut it down 4 years ago when I pivoted into esports because like it was a double-sided marketplace. So think kind of like Airbnb or Uber, but like matching games to gamers. And
Man.
this media storage expenses were literally bankrupting us. Like I had gotten to the point where I was just like exclusively eating popcorn because that was the only way that I could afford gas in my car to go to my day job.
Mm.
And even though we had scaled it to 40 countries, um, as you may or may not know, less than 1% of venture capital funding in the U.S. goes to startups with Black founders. So people were telling me that I could not do the thing that I was literally doing. Like I had
Yeah.
evidence that I was doing it and scaling it, and they were telling me while I was showing them the evidence that I couldn't do it. They were not even meeting with me so that I could show them the evidence that I knew what I was doing.
I
So
know
yeah,
that life. I definitely
yeah.
know that struggle, man. That's rough.
So
Right, but now we're here.
have you guys done all bootstrap, or have you guys got help from VCs, or how has that journey been?
Up until this point, has been bootstrapped. We're doing a
Wow.
funding round now. And yeah,
Hey. All right.
so we have quite a bit on term sheets, multiple millions. So we're very excited, and we'll be closing the round hopefully by September, and then yeah, and then running full steam ahead. So we plan on putting a lot of money into marketing and growing the company, but the round is still open. So we're still looking at we still have meetings with investors and stuff like that, and we're kind of getting our pick. But shout out Surf Thing. Hey, Lester's in the chat. What's up, Lester? Surf Thing's our PC sponsor. So Lester took a chance on us a while back, and we're so appreciative of him. Like they supplied us with all the PCs, and their PCs are absolutely amazing. Like combing through 33 different games like butter is very, very tough to do. But we can get in one game and out of one game into the next one in seconds. Because they made very custom PCs for what we do. And like I said, best in the business. Shout out Surf Thing. Yeah, that's my
Let us shameless. I'm pretty sure it's a shameless plug. Let's using idiot chips I man, right? Let's stop up there. Guys. That's funny. That's cool. So, from a funny standpoint, are you doing like crowdfunding or just investors, or how's that process going?
no crowdfunding. Just doing investors. Uh, we like for us the idea of crowdfunding just didn't make sense at the time, that the amount of money that we need to raise in order to really do what we want to do, because we have to scale at such a rate that like it's really tough to mimic us or really tough to kind of reproduce. And so crowdfunding just didn't make sense. Like $100,000 wouldn't really do much for us,
Yeah.
a million wouldn't really do much for us. And so we have to really like scale up, and so crowdfunding just didn't really make sense.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's kind of two sides of the story. Like some people like crowdfunding because they want like more people to be involved to kind of build a community that way. Because so people want it to grow because they like it and it's their money. But then to your point, like if you want to scale and go big or go home, like getting the whales per se to kind of to latch on is better. But then control, right? Because you have like a big investor, he or she might be trying to tell you what to do. It's like, well, it's not my vision, but it's my money.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
we're only taking investors that believe in the vision. Nobody's getting like the ability to outvote me. So like it's
yeah,
it's we're good with that. But yeah, I agree. Like there's always that push and pull. I will say though, like the the I always go back to the quote of like the one of the reasons we didn't do crowdfunding. Like Henry Ford said, if I would have asked the customer what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse, right? So I think like the industry of esports kind of believes that it's already had its peak, or that it's just kind of getting to a peak or whatever, and so they don't really think they need anything different, right? Nor does the consumer know they want anything different. It's a lot like when the UFC came out. Like boxing was already successful, so boxing didn't feel like it needed UFC. Even the arenas, when you look back at how the UFC was treated, most of them wouldn't book the UFC. And that was because they already had boxing, they already had something successful, and that's kind of how we're in a way we're kind of look like we're overlooked in that way, which is great for us. But yeah, it's that idea that like it's already good enough. We don't really need anything to change it, but not understanding how dynamic something like this could be, which is again great for us. We're going to continue to push forward, and once we're ready, we'll smack them in the mouth, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Not
you got a lot
literally,
of momentum
but
to be a sleeper hit.
yeah, exactly.
Cool. So, what can we look forward to for the rest of the year for UEL? What are some things that you're most excited about for the remainder of 2024?
So Father's Day, so this Sunday, we have the finals at Capital One Arena. So we're super excited about that. Again, brought to you by Surf Thing. So super excited about that. But yeah, the finals at Capital One Arena. We have a lot of sponsors on there. Sly is sponsoring with us as well. I don't
Sly,
want to
good
forget
folks.
any others. Yeah, great folks over
Tom,
there.
Dr. Tom.
Yep, exactly. Um, there are others that I am going. Yeah, this is they didn't pay me for this, so we're all good. But anyways, so yeah, so we're having the finals, and then that's June 16th at 3 p.m. You can tune in live as well on our Twitch at UEL Esports, YouTube as well. We're on 8 different platforms, so you can pretty much go anywhere and you'll find us. So the finals happens on Father's Day, and then after that we have our wheel reveal, which is always the biggest event of the year. It's where we announce the next season's games. We have our draft shortly after that, where we draft in all of our new recruits. We have quite a bit of recruits and some huge names, some of the biggest names in the world when it comes to gaming in this draft class. So we are very, very excited to see some newbies out there that who knows whether they'll do well or not. Get chances are they're probably going to struggle, but that's okay. And then we have the next season, season 9, $1 million season, starting early September. What else? We have a big event planned with Chicago schools. Working on something with Nigeria. Actually, next month we have some collegiate events that we're working on. It's so much. We just got our education platform just acquired. Another education company has about 75 employees and does really well, and so we're going to be putting together a education gaming platform as well. And so much to look forward to. So just follow us, check us out, and see what we have going on.
That's awesome. Do you know Keisha Howard in Chicago?
That name sounds so familiar, but I'm
If you don't,
so
I'll make
bad
an
with
intro.
names,
She
man.
she was a guest on our podcast at like season
Yeah.
2 or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, she's
Okay.
Yeah.
in
Season
Chicago.
two.
Big things.
Season two. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
so bad with names. It's like if you're watching this, please don't take offense. Like I'm absolutely horrible with names.
Cool.
I don't know my
All right.
kids' names half the time, so.
Oh boy.
I have done that before. Second oldest child.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Jeez. It's crazy though, like all of our pro gamers, we get the gamer tags, and I can remember everyone's gamer tag. Like the gamer tags for some reason are much easier to remember than the name. And I don't know if it's because like I can make the gamer tag make sense where half the time names don't. You know, it's like, why is your name Rebecca? I don't know. But the gamer tag like just makes more sense. I don't know, but yeah, that really bad with names.
All right, no problem, no problem. But we're here to support you for everything you have going on the rest of this year and into next year. So thank you for sharing that. And again, what's the main website people can go to keep up with everything, and where can they find you on LinkedIn?
You can find me on LinkedIn, just Titus Walker. No spaces or dots or anything. Just type in Titus Walker. You can go to our website, uelesports.com. Again, that's UEL Esports Ultimate Endgamers League Esports. So uelesports.com. And check us out there. All social media at UEL Esports. And you can also go to Surfthing's website and buy you a PC, surfthing.com.
So we have one more question that came in. We want to answer real quick. Then we'll call it a night. I believe this is also from Casey. If you could wave a magic wand, what would you add to improve the esports industry?
I would add inclusivity. I would add inclusivity in a sense of including the community and the games within the community instead of being so hyper focused on kind of popularity as if popularity begets profits when obviously it doesn't. Like popularity does not beget profits because you don't own that popularity. And so the focus should really always be on gamers and gaming. If it's not on gamers and gaming, then you're putting the commerce before the art. And the art should always go before the commerce. The art is gaming and gamers. Gamers are the artists and gaming is the art. The popularity is the commerce, right? Like that is like you're trying to get money, so you focus so much on popularity, and then the money never comes because you never focused on what mattered. You're killing your golden goose. So if I could wave a magic wand, I would probably change nothing and make sure I build what it needs. But to answer the question, that would be it.
All right. So you're already building the magic in UEL.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks for that last question, Casey. Mario, where can everybody find and support you?
Yeah. So at People Prop on Instagram, but I gotta do a shameless plug for myself. You guys, I have my own investment firm, but I also have a estate planning platform that we launched about 6 months ago called Relax Estate. It's all AI powered estate planning. And this week we did our 150th estate plan. Most estate plan turned to about 50 estate plans a year. In the 6 months, we did 150, and it's automated. So very excited, and it's growing like crazy. www.therelaxestate.com. You get to do all your estate planning, but it's all automated. So pretty cool. So check us out. And that's that.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back next week. We're going to debut a new game. It's a mix between League of Legends and Candy Crush. So like a mobile game that has power-ups in it. Excited for you all to see that. That game is going to be launching on Kickstarter at the end of this month, and you'll get to see a demo of it live before it launches. So tune in next Thursday. Titus, thank you so much for your time. Mario, thanks for your time. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next Thursday, where we will help you level up your wealth. Y'all have a great day. Enjoy